What are your roles on the wedding day?
On the wedding day.
I do chicks, he does dudes.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm in
what?
charge of miking up.
yeah.
Hold up.
Maybe rephrase
What
this.
did you say?
Hello and welcome to How to Film Weddings. This is episode number 31. Today we have on Erin and Mac of Hello Tomorrow Films. They're based in Canada. Yes, Canada. I don't know.
It's our first international guest. I'm very excited.
I mean, Henry was in.
Henry was in Bali, but these people live in another country. This is international
They do.
podcast now. So the dozens of listeners in the dozens of countries are going to stop messaging us saying, we want someone besides Americans on there. We have Canadians today, Mac and Erin, and it was fun. We talked to them about a lot of things, but a lot of what we talked about was like building brand as a personality and putting yourself out there.
So good.
It really
So
was.
good.
And like I stumbled upon their about page and looked at this video. And if you haven't seen it, we talk about it, but it's just an epic video that's just incredible. We are video makers. We make films. They have made this incredible film, and their personalities all over their website. So we talk a lot about that. We talk about them being parents now, them being a husband and wife team. We answer questions from our Facebook group. It's a ton of fun, and I think we should just jump right in, man.
We laughed quite a bit.
Let's do it. Let's jump right into the How to Film Weddings podcast.
Well, we are joined today by Mac and Erin of Hello Tomorrow Films out in Canada, north of the border. So why don't you guys just say hello, introduce yourselves, and tell us a little bit about your business.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm McLean, or Mac. This is my wife, Erin. Yeah, we are out of Vancouver. We run Hello Tomorrow Films. We've been doing weddings now for
13 years.
Our 13th season.
We're so old.
Yeah, we have been in it a bit, and it's been good. We do every wedding together. Life's good.
I think that's good.
Okay,
We're
it's
done.
succinct.
Yeah.
Good.
Very, very good. So you've been in business 13 years, so you're old at this like John is. Why don't you kind of give us a ballpark a little bit of, what you're charging, how many weddings you shoot a year, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Is he joking? Oh, no, he's serious. Okay.
We start right now currently at $5,200, and we shoot about 25 to 30 weddings a year.
On account of the child.
Yes, we have a 1.5-year-old son that has limited exactly how many weddings we take, so we find
So
that
you would
fun.
so you would shoot more than 25 or 30 if it weren't for your son?
We have in the past.
Yeah, we'd consider it. I think 25 ideally is always our sweet spot.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Is that all he asked us?
I think so.
Oh, was it?
Let me expand on it. We do.
No, actually, I can't.
We're
can't
new.
tell.
We're new at podcasts, guys.
Oh, no, you guys are fine. I think I asked. John usually handles this part
I love
of
that
the,
you're asking
the
these
podcast.
questions, though, because it's fun for me to watch you do this.
Right. And anyway, so all right, so you're about what'd you say, 5,200 is about your average?
Yeah, for
right?
local
20,
Canadian
25
dollars, guys. So like 3,000 American.
Canadian
Yes, 'cause
dollars,
the
I think.
Is that
Canadian
really the
dollar.
conversion rate?
It's
No, you guys are 30% more than us, right?
or 30% less.
No, if I was
number-wise.
30% less.
30% difference.
Cool. So you come to our podcast to learn about weddings and also Canadian and American money exchange rates.
Currency.
Yeah, so like
never know
hire
what
us,
you're
come
gonna
to
learn.
Canada, we'll be cheaper.
Never know what you're going to learn here. Nick, ask them about like what it includes and stuff in their 5,200 package.
Okay, in your $5,200 package, what's included in that?
Cool.
That is for local, like Vancouver area weddings. Included in that is 8 hours of coverage, and then a 3 to 5 minute highlights film, and then like a ceremony speech edit. We call it a live documentary, but it's basically all the ceremony, all the speeches, all the first dance, like multicam edits. And then there's add-ons after that.
And would you say, so this is, you said your 13th year in, tell me a little bit about like the first couple of years. What were you charging then and what was included in that price?
Good times.
I think right when I got started, because it was just me kind of at the start.
For like 2 weddings.
Yeah, for 2
Calm
weddings.
down.
But I jumped in like the threes. I think it was like 3,300 Canadian.
But also, like, it wasn't a thing, right? So only fancy people could afford videographers, so you kind of had to put yourself up there.
Yeah, and I gotten some advice from a photographer in town that kind of served as a mentor to me, mentioning like, hey, you got to price yourself where you want to be. Don't undercut yourself. So we kind of dove in with that, and it was successful for a little bit. But that was when we were including, I think it was just a 30-minute film.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I remember those days.
And yeah, it's not fun.
30 to
When you're
45
freaking
minutes.
out, like, and is everyone included? And are they going to ask us for revisions because it's all they get? Ugh.
Yeah.
I get it.
Ugh, those were the days.
Good
So
times.
$3,000, a 30-minute film. Were you guys married then? Were you dating? How'd that, like, were you guys shooting together?
Craigslist ad.
Yeah.
No, that'd be weird.
That'd be a
No,
great story.
we had just started dating when I started doing this. And then booking those jobs early on, I was just so scared. It felt like I was just way over my head.
Yeah.
So I was like, Erin, new girlfriend, please come and help me, just to be like a comfort, but also carry some gear.
Yeah. And I was like, cool, I've got a lot of part-time jobs. This can be another one. Pay me and I'll come. So I did.
That's perfect. And so you do the first couple of weddings. What drew you to, like, I mean, did you know immediately, like, oh, I want to do this? Or like, what is it about weddings that drew you to want to do it?
I think for me, when I started,
You knew what you didn't want to be doing.
Exactly. So I grown up doing like video stuff all the time, like skateboard videos with friends, short comedy films, some music stuff, and I always found that fascinating. I loved the video world. And then my sister got married and they hired a videographer. So I was in the wedding party all day just kind of watching. I'm like, what's that thing? And it was a glide cam. I was like, oh, that looks cool. And then I saw the footage after. I'm like, whoa, what's this floating? Because I didn't know that stuff really existed on this small like video
And like
cameras.
sweet Dutch angles and like zooms and stuff. Like it was pretty wicked back
Selective
then.
color, all that good stuff. But yeah, as I think I was 18 at the time, and I was like, whoa, that looks really cool. And I was working construction, and I was like, construction's not as fun as that looks.
Yeah.
So kind of jumped in from there.
And so you see like all this, like this guy doing this stuff, and like you start doing it yourself. Like, what do you say now to somebody like a bride where it's like, why do you still do this? Or what do you love about doing this?
I have an answer. I was going to
You
give
go
you a
ahead,
chance.
you go
I
ahead.
think because of people. We meet so many cool people, especially since, I know we'll get into it, but since we've put ourselves more out there on our site, we get so many like-minded people coming our way. And we really hit it off quickly with them. And I don't know, we've had the chance to do commercial work, and we do really like that. But I keep coming back to weddings just because it's basically you're making documentaries for these people that you meet and get to know and connect with. I don't know, so that personal connection for me is so strong that I don't think I could really stop.
What about you?
Yeah.
What about you,
And-
Erin? Yeah.
Oh, well, similar. I mean, like, again, as we've transitioned into how we kind of market, we meet a lot of people that we're like, oh, wow, and we're friends with them now. Not all of our clients, but quite a few.
Yeah.
And then also the people that we get to work with, like the Vancouver wedding community is really small, and we work with the same photographers a lot, same planners a lot, and they're really fun, so you kind of feel like you have people that you work with, and you're not all by yourself all the time.
That's true. Some of our closest friends in the world came from weddings.
In the world.
In the world,
They're
you
going to
know.
be pumped to hear that.
But it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Well, you kind of mentioned it, about kind of putting yourself out there. And on the day that we're recording this, John posted your About Us video that you made, a couple of years ago and it's on your website and stuff. And we're going to talk about that in a second. But I think a lot of people on our end maybe kind of think that all that brides are looking for is like a pretty wedding video, right? They just want someone that knows what they're doing. And so I think a lot of people don't like to put pictures of themselves. They don't like to talk about themselves, and they're kind of hiding, behind their business rather than being out in front of your business. But I know that you guys, when creating that video, have had a ton of, you've talked about you've had a ton of success and, in booking more clients and all that stuff. So why don't you kind of talk about your thought process behind that, and making something like that to share with people.
For sure. I think, because back when we were still dating at the time, our website was similar to what you said. It was just, our logo, name, and we were comfortable sitting behind that. I think we had a little About Us page with like one small picture and a small write-up. And I think for a long time you were pushing like we should do some kind of an about video just to get that, get that first impression across right away. And I resisted it forever. And then I think it was in, I don't know, 2015.
So after we got married, we did our first one.
Yeah, 2014 or 2015, we did our first one. And we saw like an immediate change. And I immediately was like, Erin, you were right. I was wrong.
I know, I'm very wise.
This is huge. Because before, I think you're right. A lot of brides are trying to or they just want a pretty video. But until they kind of see what they're missing possibly, then they'll be like, oh, but these people, like I could hang out with them.
Yeah, and I think it's been comfortable with us too on the wedding day. Like you see the video and you're like, oh, okay, great, like that, and then you meet on the internet or in person, and you can kind of click a little bit easier. And also, if you see the video and you're like, that's not what I want, then sweet, don't hire us, please hire someone else.
Yeah, that's another good point. 'Cause,
Right.
we were doing some weddings we weren't thrilled with at the time, so that definitely helped shift.
Time out. One of my
Okay.
light went out,
So
but keep going.
Okay.
We're so pro.
Wait.
Watch out for my butt.
This is awesome.
As his chair spins and he just like falls out.
This is so embarrassing.
I wish we were screen recording this
Oh man, are we not?
just for my own personal record.
Bad,
Yeah,
too
okay.
bad. Oh. So embarrassing, guys.
If it happens on our end now, I won't feel so bad.
For the people
Yeah,
watching on YouTube, they can see how I get my hair light to look so nice. For the people on the
Very
podcast listening, they won't hear this. All right, back to you guys. I'm just over here listening. Go ahead, Nick. Do your thing. Go ahead, Nick. Do your thing.
Okay, sorry.
Sidetrack.
Yeah, all right. That's a really interesting point. So my wife and I, we just put on we hosted our own workshop, and one of the things that she did for everybody that attended was a website review, and she was so hard on like the about me page. She's like, whenever I go and look at anybody's work, whenever I go look at she was like, the first thing that I go to is the about page, and I want to see who is behind the camera. I want to see what they like, what they don't like. And so there were tons of people, at this workshop that we not ton, a handful of the ones that were there that kind of just had very basic information. I'm so and so. I've been doing this for so long. I really want to tell your story. Like the end, and not like personal stuff. Like on ours, like we love to go to Target. We eat tacos and Chick-fil-A all the time. Stuff like that, so that people can kind of get to know us a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that, Erin, that point that you made was really great, to say if someone watches that video and, watching McLean go to the ocean and the water spews up all over and it's just a cool shot, like, oh, like that's too like edgy for me or whatever, then like we're probably not going to hire these people. I think that's such a great idea. You always want to attract and repel, and you have definitely done that by putting yourself out there like that.
For sure, because there was a good long while where, in Vancouver, there's a lot of beautiful cathedrals, and we were getting all these Catholic and, mostly Catholic weddings, and those were going really well. But after a while, we're like, I don't know if this is so much what we're drawn to. So by putting a bit more of the lifestyle we like to live on our About video, it just attracted more people with similar thinking. And
We do like Catholics, though.
Of course.
We have a lot of family and friends who are Catholic. It's
true,
fine.
that's true. But we wanted to diversify.
They're really long ceremonies.
Well, I've said this before on the podcast, but I think it was 2016, we did over half of our weddings were Catholic, and in 2017, I stopped posting any Catholic videos on our website, and I think we did a total of our 20, like 3 or 4 that next year, and it wasn't, I'm not against doing them, they're just long, and I'd rather do something else, and we'll still shoot them. So totally get what you're saying there, John. Did you have something?
Yeah, like 3 years ago is whenever I kind of like pulled the curtain back and started showing like my face on my website, and it's taken about that long to like every couple now when they reach out to me is like, oh my goodness, I love that you love X or Y or Z or whatever. I love your stories.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, like Taylor Swift,
Office.
of course. Yes, The Office. Those kinds of things. Like, because people want to work with people that are like them, especially in 2019. Like, they don't want to just see your logo. Like, I've taken my logo off. I mean, we watermarked all of our videos and our photos, and like I had a team of people. I never said my name on my website, and then I started like really realizing that like what I loved was doing work for people that were very like-minded. And so when I initially found you guys, I think Nick tagged you in something, or I don't remember how I found you guys, but it was
Thanks, Nick.
a year ago or so, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this work is so great. And immediately the first thing you do is you go try to find out who are these people, and then I was immediately like, I could completely remember both of you guys because of how good your about page was and how like I felt like I knew you immediately and was like, oh my goodness, I remember thinking like they're starting kind of like doing these tutorial videos at the same time we are. And I was just like, yeah, they've got the vibe. I love this vibe. I love what they're doing. And to the people who haven't seen yet, on your About Us page or your About You Guys page, tell me a little bit about what the video is that's on the page, how you guys decided to do it, how you shot it, what the thought was behind it.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
I know it's not new, but
no.
Yeah,
Well, it's fine.
It holds up.
Yeah,
It does.
I think
It definitely holds up.
we do video, so I think we felt first of all it was kind of important. Like if this is what we do, we claim to do, why don't we do it for ourselves also? And like I'm not so much with the written words. Like I feel if it's not in caps lock, I'm not getting my point across. So we thought, okay, maybe if we like do it in a video, it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah, because at the time too, we were doing these. We did a lot of promo videos for photographers, and we were like, why aren't we doing this for ourselves? Because it's such a perfect medium to get our point across. So yeah, when we decided to do it, we were like, hey, let's just try and keep it super short, like a minute, maybe two. I think we landed around a minute and a half. And we're just like, hey, let's show footage from our, I don't know, day-to-day lives, like, or not day-to-day lives.
Day-to-day lives on trips.
Yeah.
We're always on trips.
It makes our day-to-day lives look crazy,
Yeah.
cool. But yeah, like we went on a big road trip. We're like, hey, let's bring the camera along, just get a bunch of footage and put that in there. And then just show, not necessarily, we wanted to show what we do. So we wanted to show wedding footage, of course, but we didn't want to just show like the most epic of shots. We wanted to show shots with personality so people get a feeling rather than just straight up impressed.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what we wanted, what couples, we want them to do with us. We want them to get that great first impression. When we sit down and meet with them, they're like, oh, I already feel like I know you. They're happy. And so that video really helped it. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward. We just shot, I don't know, we did a lot of selfie angles, and then one big road trip, we got a lot of that footage on. And
Yes,
just
yeah,
threw it
and
together
so I
one
mean
day
for
with
the
some voiceover.
for the people that haven't seen it,
Just
can you hear me?
sorry.
Okay, is everything
We
okay?
can't hear you anymore.
Can't hear.
Time out.
Yeah.
I think somebody else's.
A thing came on. If you can hear us, the thing came on our screen saying something about AirPods. So, can you hear?
Nope. You're muted.
No?
Can you hear us now?
I
Now
can
we
hear
can-
you, John. I cannot.
Oh, your little
more.
mute symbol's on over there.
Well, I don't know why.
There
Oh,
it goes.
weird.
There you go. You're
We
back.
didn't click anything, but that happened. Sorry.
I have a
No.
thought, and
Move your hands a
I'll
lot.
lose it, but I think I
internet.
think I can fix my thought. So my question, I guess, is for people that haven't listened or haven't been to your website yet. I want kind of you just to explain what the video is. Like, what is it?
Oh.
What I wanted you to explain that, but now I want to know a little bit more of like, what is it? Why'd you guys decide to do it, and how's it affected the business?
Okay, so kind of explain it first.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's this video on our website. It's About Us video. We're in it. I haven't seen it in so long.
I don't know. We just wanted to have like a little snapshot of how we are, even
Yes.
like with each other on trips, because we're not necessarily just straight up looking at the camera. Like we've done two of these. Our first one we said like, here's what I like, and hoping
Oh, and it's cringy to me.
it is a bit cringy.
Like
to
neither
watch.
one of us likes to be on video, so that was a big part of it. Like they're all just gonna be natural shots. Like it'll be totally great because
Yeah.
we can't.
So we just thought, hey, let's have that just come across visually, and then let's state in the film through voiceover just kind of what we like and what we believe in as far as storytelling and weddings goes. So we just kind of pieced that all together, with B-roll from that road trip that we went on, and of course some of our favorite wedding film moments.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and
that's
what
great.
it does, I mean, when you go onto the site and click it and watch the video, you're immediately drawn into not only like getting to know who you are, but also it's like, whoa, this is really well done. These people, and I think that it just kind of like hit me like, why aren't more of us doing an About Us video instead of just some photos on our site? And so like, I would encourage the listeners to definitely go check out you guys' website, hellotomorrowfilms.com.
Or hellotomorrow.ca.
Okay, hellotomorrow.ca, and click on the About page and watch that. And we'll link it and stuff like that too. But it's definitely one of those things, and it just got me thinking, like how important the personality is behind, the brand. And then,
Right.
yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Well, I was jump in and say, branding, is such an important thing. And I think there's been this major shift in branding and how it's more about, the people behind it's running it rather, like that really shows in a brand that you have. In that video, like you said, it's super, I don't like using the word epic. Like I hate that word, but like really, like it really is, just showing all these amazing moments and all these places you've been. But another thing that I think that my wife and I, Jen, have absolutely loved that you've done for the last couple years, or I don't know if you still do this since your son has been born because it takes up time. But whenever you would make those little like Insta story behind the scenes on a wedding day kind of recap videos, and what I really liked about those is I would always watch them and like, oh, these are great shots, and I would always laugh at pretty much everything Erin says because you're just like really funny, and it's just another way of showing who you are and infused with the wedding day. So why don't you talk about people that have no clue what exactly I am talking about? Why don't you walk them through your idea behind those behind the scenes little videos that you've created for Insta stories and stuff?
Yeah, for sure. We started doing that, I don't know, I think a couple summers ago. I think I initially was inspired just because, well, first off, I loved Insta stories, and I was like, I don't want to just always show just a talking head of my day-to-day exploits. Why don't we try something more interesting for a wedding? And then after seeing Jesse Driftwood on Instagram do some really interesting stuff with stories, I was kind of like, oh, that's really an interesting idea. It's like a minute and a half montage of your day. Yeah. So we're like, hey, let's just try this at this wedding we have coming up. I don't recall which was the first, but we thought, hey, let's not bring like a camera and shoot sideways like Jesse Driftwood does. We'll just bring an iPhone. We'll trade it throughout the day, get lots of cool behind the scenes footage, and see what comes of it.
And by trade it, airdrop things from each phone.
That's true.
Here, you have an iPhone? No, I have an iPhone.
And then we shot throughout the whole day, got some behind the scenes moments. A lot of it during like portrait time when we're not exactly shooting, like crazy, and turned it into something, and we got like crazy feedback just from colleagues, but also like brides that are following us, past brides or future brides, and everyone just loves it.
We had one groom like, I always wanted to be in one of these.
Yeah, it got to that. We were filming on the day. He's like, is that your phone? Am I gonna be in a story? And got all excited. And I think what it does, it just gives people another glimpse into like what it would be like on the day with us. And I think it comes across
so fun.
Super fun. And you're right, Erin just jokes the whole day. And so
that's what I do, guys. I'm not good at anything. I just tell jokes and film Insta stories.
It's not true.
I think, honestly, like it's so much more important than a lot of us realize. And most of the time, like people that want to be behind the camera don't love to be in front of the camera. But just like showing that personality, like even in my business now that I'm showing more of me and I've been doing that for several years, it's like you get more comfortable being in front of the camera, first of all. But like there are so many people that do what we do now. Like when we started back in 2007, like 13 years, whatever, it's like we were one of 3 people in town doing video, and it was like we were the only ones telling stories in our videos. So it was like we stood out, like crazy. But now as, the market is caught up, it's like, how can you differentiate yourself and how can you tell your story differently? And so how have you seen that change your perception in your market or in your brides? I mean, are people feeling like when they meet you that they know you already? Is that helping you on your bookings?
Very much so. Yeah, I feel like before we put these kind of videos out, we would have a meeting and we felt like we needed to sell ourselves a bit more.
Yeah, and you kind of had to work at it. Like they didn't know what your interests were and you didn't know theirs. And
yeah, that's
except
true.
for Lord of the Rings. That's always been like the thing. They're like, you like it? We like it. And we're like, okay, great. But
it's a great jumping off point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'd have to, get to know them. That would take up a bit more of the meeting. And then we'd be like, okay, well, here's what we offer. And usually what got them in the door in the first place was just the fact, like, especially early days, like, oh, you offer HD and you're like one of 3 people in town, like you said, John. Whereas now, like usually now, by the time we meet or FaceTime with a couple, like more than like, I don't know, 9 out of 10 we end up booking. So usually
19 out of 20.
19 out
like
of 20.
a higher amount.
Usually by the time we get to the Skype or FaceTime or meeting, we're pretty confident. So we just kind of spend that time getting to know them.
Because like they come into the meeting already knowing, they know who we are, they've seen all of our work. Because partnered with that About Us video, I would say, is we started finally just posting weddings that like we really wanted again. And that's not to say all the ones that weren't posted. Sometimes something goes wrong in the day that like the lighting was terrible and you don't want to put that out there. It's not the client's fault. But like putting out the videos that we wanted to make again, So that helped a lot in
so in those meetings, clients are just so like, oh, we love your work. We just wanted to make sure we click what's next.
And it's more we push it. We're like, we want to make sure we click with you. So we need to meet with you before you hire us.
We don't say it quite like that.
I say it like that.
No, that's so good. You have, in your own space, you've kind of created these followers, this culture of people that already know they want to work with you before they're like even engaged or before they're even dating someone. You know, they followed you along and they get so excited about Hello Tomorrow, and they're like, hey, I know I'm only like 13 now, but in 6 years, whenever I'm whatever, I don't know.
That's so funny. We've gotten
We
that.
don't say that yet.
But you know, you follow these people, and they I know it's really weird too. You share all this stuff on the internet, and then people like walk up to you and you're like, hey, remember when you did that thing and it was so funny? I do that too. And they like think that they know you, but you have no clue who they are. I mean, it's all, but it's all such good branding. It's all such a good way to run your business so that you can find these clients that mesh with who you are and want to do the same types of stuff. So I think it's brilliant.
Thanks,
My
man.
wife says all the time whenever she sees your stuff, she's like, you know, Nick, I think we could be friends with them in real life. Like if we were in the same place.
To be friends with some other husband
Yeah,
and wife teams.
come up to the Great White North, both of you guys.
We can go down.
Never.
Like we're capable of travel. Also.
Never. Hey, we're going to be in Seattle this summer. Is that close to you?
So
That's,
close.
yeah, 2 hours. That's great.
You're going to be in Alaska
John.
too next
Maybe.
month. That's up that way.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Alaska.
That's super far away.
It's halfway there. I mean, it's like a cheeky pit stop in Vancouver.
Well, next month, guys, we'll be in Iceland. It's basically the same exact.
Maps are tough. Okay, maps are tough.
Okay, so you brought up just in a passing comment about being a husband and wife team, you know, enjoying hanging out with more husband and wife teams. So why don't you chat about that a little bit? I know that my wife and I were one too, and you know, they're popping up more and more all over the place, but I still think a lot of people maybe don't understand how they work. So can you guys just kind of break down a little bit of your roles, you know, both on the wedding day and then like the post side of stuff?
For sure.
Cool.
You wanna-
I feel like I should start. I feel like we're a little bit lucky that we started, first of all, so young. And I knew zero about video when we started. So basically, I just was like, whatever you tell me to do, I'll just do that. No problem.
Yeah, there was no difference of opinion. I was like, this is
mean,
what I like.
yeah.
She's like, okay, great.
Now there's like a little bit more pushback from me. But generally, like we've grown together for such a long time that I feel like we have a very, we want this, we shoot the same way.
Yeah, we have the same style. And yeah, like when we got started, there wasn't so many video people doing this. We saw a lot of photography husband and wife couples, and we thought, oh, that's a really interesting dynamic. If I'd ever shoot with them on a wedding day, or we would, we'd be like, oh, wow, they have such an unspoken thing where they can just, okay, great, yep, I'll do this, that, and the other. And so we thought, oh, this could be a really cool thing, and that was part of the reason of putting ourselves out there more on our website to show, hey, we're a husband and wife team, because it's really turned into, this like, I don't know, I don't think I could shoot a wedding without you.
I think also too, like
That sounded, I wish people could
John's
see.
making a heart.
Oh, that's nice.
No, I was
Yeah, you go.
gonna say, but also on a wedding day, like people are getting married. They're gonna be husband and wife, so they're super jazzed that you're also married and you
Totally.
can work together. We're like, yes.
Yeah, it makes the hang of the day so much easier.
I realize people who are listening can't see my face when I make these ridiculous voices, and I'm gonna come out like a crazy person.
So watch on YouTube.
Watch on YouTube. Hey,
Does she know we're being recorded?
Did you know that we have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, you do.
What?
Did you know that?
Whoa.
We
Hold
have
on.
a YouTube channel.
Hold on. I know this. Do you know this?
Well, I figured we were being filmed for something, just to have watch on our own time.
Oh, yeah. So, youtube.com/howtofilmweddings. Back to you guys. What are your roles?
Yes.
What are your roles on the wedding day?
On the wedding day.
I do chicks, he does dudes.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm in
what?
charge of miking up.
yeah.
Hold up.
Maybe rephrase
What
this.
did you say?
I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I filmed the girls getting ready. McLean films the boys. I did
is
graduate.
true.
I started off having to film boys, and I did not care for it.
Yes. But yeah, now, we shoot separately in the mornings for getting ready, like Erin said.
I have to mic up the dress, which is like a whole other thing. and
Which-
he just
Hey,
needs to be
Jen does that. We do
Nice.
Oh,
It's a big enough reason alone to be a husband and wife team, so the guy doesn't have to do the miking of the dress.
It's awkward enough when you're the same gender. So anyway,
So we shoot separately, and then we meet up depending on the schedule at the first look or the ceremony. We kind of, I don't know, like for ceremonies, you are more in charge of at the front of the aisle, getting the actual aisle walk.
Yeah.
And whereas I'm going around getting more,
we'll say creative
like
angles.
she's getting A roll, I'm getting B roll, let's say.
Yeah. I'd say after the morning, I'm more or less like safety.
After
like
the ceremony.
and I'm comfortable there. I like that place. I like to run off and chat with people, get snacks. Like I'm very I'm very much working all day.
Because there was a point where Erin, like around midday, would be like, "What do you need me to do?" And I was like, honestly, just be yourself with everyone here. Like go.
I like how you're saying that you came up with this as a plan
my
for
idea.
Me. No, mostly midday I get real hangry, and I was like, I gotta find some snacks, and so then I would just meet people and.
But what that's turned into,
you would go to that mom in the front row and like ask her for her snacks.
Did you bring some carrot sticks for me?
Get out of Werther's. And
I pack my own lunch, guys. I have a full cooler. Anyway.
And so that's turned into like. You've taken that time to really connect with other vendors, also the couple or the family, to the point.
Yeah.
At the end of the night, I'm just, I've been running around a little bit, and she's been like having such a good time with everybody that everyone's like,
I don't do anything, guys.
No, but the good thing that means is when we leave, people are like, oh, Erin, we're gonna miss you. Sure you can't stay to dance more.
Yeah.
And they're like, where's Matt?
I don't dance. Okay, bye. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of on a wedding day. That's not a very great answer, but
no, it's actually terrible.
No, but I like the point that you're making because, Erin, you're spinning around, even if I know you are shooting and you are working, but you're also talking and you're hanging out and making the couple feel good about the day, making the parents feel good. So you're doing that job of causing them to love their video before you show them anything. Like you're treating them so well. You're making them like people and not just like a client, right? Totally. And so you leave the wedding day, they're like, "Oh, the video's going to be awesome." And you're like, "Well, how do you know that it's going to be awesome?" But you just made them feel so good about themselves and about the day that they're going to love it.
Yeah, and it comes from a really genuine place with your personality.
No, there's nothing I love more than wandering around talking to people.
Yeah.
Plus,
so that's
McLean,
nice of you to say in a better way of saying it.
You know too, like what you need. I know what you need from me, and you know what you need.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just work from there.
And reason being is because I do, 98% of the editing. I do, not out of. I guess a little bit of I'm a control freak. I
didn't really want to ever learn also.
That's true. But what that's turned into is I do the first few passes and then Erin comes in. I think, Nick, you've mentioned this on the podcast before that you'll have your wife come in and take a look and give that different perspective for fresh eyes, but also just the female perspective really helps.
That is a very unflattering angle. You cannot use that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I can't tell you how many times Jen tells me that. You're like, she will hate herself in that picture. You have to pick something else. I'm like, but the sun rays, it's shining. She's like, you're shooting up. Don't shoot up. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever.
For sure.
What you guys do sounds so much like how Jen and I run and how, I mean, she doesn't like to go and talk to everybody on the wedding day, but kind of the same kind of thing. That's interesting, that's awesome. Just how you work together. So, John, you got anything? You cool?
No, well, a couple of things. My wife doesn't work with me, and I love my life. I love my life too. So it's okay. I feel kind of left out over here in Oklahoma. Just, you guys talking about being in love with your wife or husband and just working together, and I'm just, just over here looking at MySpace. So
just batching it.
No, you mentioned like you do 98% of the editing. I mean, like, are you on your editing? Like, I love the way your films look. And I don't want to go super geeky into all the things, but are you doing all the coloring? Are you using LUTs or like what are you doing for like the creative side? Are you for your films?
Have your moment.
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do basically everything as far as like hands on the keyboard.
Mm-hmm. I used to do a little bit more of like the rough cut stuff, but then we found like what's the point? He had to go and look at all the stuff anyways. So it just didn't anyway.
So yeah, I'll go through, rough cut everything, and then narrow it down. I'll have Erin come in at that point, and she'll often give me story points or like, hey, this part feels a little weak or anything like that. Then I'll revise.
Yeah,
then
that's
once
cool.
I'm happy with it, I'll do sound, and I'll color it myself with some a mix of some customized LUTs and then also film convert we use sometimes, all inside of Premiere Pro. And so that's usually my process.
It's awesome. Mm-hmm. It's cool to
and finding the song.
Yes, the song search, which we all know can be
the worst day of your life.
Yeah.
Days. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's really cool to kind of just see you guys' personality. I mean, and the listeners can hear your personality. And like one thing I was thinking about is like I used to always be almost afraid to just be myself, like my true self, because like I just thought like I needed to be vanilla so everybody would like me.
Right.
And like I think for me, I was always such a people pleaser and so afraid that like somebody wouldn't like one of my films or think that I was being, trendy or like, but instead of just doing what I loved doing, And so like one thing I was going to point out a little earlier is, you know, we try to attract people, but like Nick has mentioned it a lot, like repelling people as well. And like, I think that just making the note, I guess so, of how important it is to be your true self because you want to repel those people. Like, I'm okay with somebody being annoyed if, you know, they think the British office is better than the best office or something like that. You know, nothing specific. But, you know, like, the more that I put myself out there, the more that when I'm writing the stories of the couple, when I'm blogging about them or, you know, talking to them or being in, you know, like, I'm physically trying to make them have a reason not to book me. Like,
Totally.
I don't want that, but I want you guys to talk about like the kinds of things you've realized about your personalities, and was there a plan to like just be so much yourself? I mean, because that's really, you know, people really realizing that right now. So have you guys planned that? Or is that something that just came natural? What do you guys do for the personality of the brand?
I don't know if we necessarily planned it. I think the idea came, and it was kind of all of those thoughts you mentioned at once. We're like, hey, if we put ourselves out there more, what you just mentioned would happen. People that we might not click with in real life will get that feeling through seeing the website, and they'll be like, hey, you know what? Maybe this isn't the right fit for us. And that's good, because it's so awkward in a meeting if you get that vibe by the time you're in a meeting to be like, oh, you know what? After the meeting's over or over email, be like, I just don't know if we're the best fit. And we
trying to tell people like it's just not going to work out. Like,
so
why?
hard.
We don't want to.
So through the website and the about video, and then also just putting the films out there, like Erin said, of couples that we'd like to work with, but also just weddings we'd like to work with.
But also we've started, like, when we chat with couples, and even when they have booked us or in the first meeting, we'll tell them to, like, hey, this is how we shoot, this is what we do, this is what's included. We're not going to spend a lot of time shooting details. Hope you're cool with that. We just don't. We don't do that. Totally. And so I feel like if we just tell them all the things that they maybe are expecting, be like, we don't do that. We do this. And then they're like, oh, okay, fine.
That's a really good
And then
point.
they don't care. And that's been big, because we used to feel a lot of like pressure after, because we wouldn't tell them.
Yeah.
Be like, shoot, maybe they want this, maybe they want that. And you're kind of worrying about what they want included instead of just being able to create what you feel is the best representation.
And I'll say too, there's a freedom that comes with it. Like that, if you're just being vanilla, trying to make sure, oh, I got this shot of the stationery that I don't care about getting, or I got the shot of the family or whatever. But like, if they know and they connect with you creatively, like you're able to do something like at every wedding that you didn't do before. And like, so I'm starting to feel like this limitless, like there's no boundaries. And it's just like, why haven't I been here? Like, why didn't I join this party so long ago? So are you guys like, do you feel just like this complete creative freedom by the time you get to the wedding day?
Yeah, often, for sure. Because Erin, like she said, will throw those things out there. And then if the couple are like, yeah, great. And then we'll ask them like, so is it cool with you if we just kind of do what we think is best for the day? Like, yep, we totally trust you. And hearing the word trust just allows us to be like, oh, amazing. Because then we can really look into the character of who these people are for their film and do what we think is the best representation of that without being bogged down by, oh, I have 15 minutes here, I got to go run and get these detail shots that probably a photographer's already gotten and better. And waste time.
Mine's moving a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Where I could be going and getting something that's way more story relevant.
I like that point. I like that.
That is a good point.
Good job.
Thanks.
Good point, Mac.
Hey, you.
We're gonna shift now. We got a ton of questions from our Facebook group. Yes.
Sorry, can I pause?
Yeah.
I just noticed we have a low battery on our laptop. Can I just plug it in real quick before we get into this next part?
No.
Amateur hour.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
Man, it's between your laptop and John's butt.
Okay.
Something's gonna happen to you too.
Guys, what would you rather see, my butt or an empty screen? I mean,
empty.
well,
Guys.
well, I'm sorry.
I'm
You're
still
right.
here. I'm half of the team. People forget.
Full screen now. Full screen. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah, that's good.
Deep thoughts with
Take
Erin.
longer, Mac. Pardon me?
I said deep thoughts with Erin.
Yeah, I'm really hoping you guys don't ask me any questions until he gets back, because most of my answers are, Mac? I can play off stuff. I'm not very good at like coming up with an idea on my own.
I don't know if I've laughed as hard doing this ever. So
True.
Oh, yay.
Like, for real.
you remind me of somebody on Saturday Night Live. I'm trying to figure out
Kristen
who it is.
Wiig?
Maybe, yes.
I've gotten that before in the
Yeah,
past.
I get that all the time.
I know. No, not because of our comedic style. I think we just have kind of a sort of similar looking face and like move our faces too much, you know, that might be it.
That could be it.
But
I don't think you move
I'll
your
take
face
it.
too much.
Thank you. I'm
welcome.
working on not, because you know, like wrinkles. So I gotta be
I don't know anything about wrinkles.
Almost had a light fiasco.
Yeah. You're still blurry, so your skin looks flawless to me.
Man, it sucks that I'm blurry.
It's better though now. It's not like VHS blurry. It's
You're
like
gonna-
not HD blurry.
You're gonna see me in real life one day, and you're just gonna like walk by, and like
Whoa,
I'm gonna be
whoa,
like
yeah.
Aaron, and you're gonna be like I don't know you, and I'm like we spent an hour together that one time. Remember, I was the blurry guy. Here, squint your eyes. Now you see me.
Oh, there you are.
Oh yeah.
So before we were rudely interrupted by Mac's lack of planning.
My bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Battery.
Anyway, so we had a bunch of questions in our Facebook group, and some people on Instagram asked
Facebook
them,
group?
and so we wanted to do a
Wait a
little
sec, Facebook group?
cute. Yeah. Oh yeah, we have a Facebook group. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Plug it, guys. Plug it.
Yeah. All you need to do is go to Facebook and search "How to Film Weddings."
Oh, perfect. Now
I'm in
I
the
know.
group. I'm in the group,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. Everyone should do it.
Yeah. Is it Hello Tomorrow or McLean's in the group?
McLean's in the group.
Oh, then I'm not in the group. Ugh. I'm not on YouTube, guys.
Facebook.
Oh, dang it, I'm not on Facebook.
I added you as a friend today, so in a few months maybe we'll be friends on Facebook, Aaron.
Totally, I check it like once every 3 months. I'll check it today.
Oh, so today or in like August is when I need to do that, right?
August.
Oh,
You're
okay,
next.
yeah, no.
I got dibs.
Yeah.
So
Cool. All right. So, in our Facebook group and on Instagram, we also have an Instagram, by the way. We asked some questions. So, Phil Harbuck asked this very serious question. He wants to know if Ryan Reynolds is an actual Canadian national treasure, or does he just say that?
Oh, okay.
I feel like he's a national treasure in the making.
And like to White Rock.
Yeah, that's true. He's
We
from
really like him
our
here.
town specifically. And yeah, we like him. I think it's a bit premature to say, like, Martin Short's a Canadian national treasure.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like because he's married to Blake Lively now, maybe I think that, but I didn't before. So
So,
it's debatable.
50-50.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then Silas Dillon on Instagram asked, why is Aaron not a comedian?
a stand-up comedian.
Thanks,
Why is she not a
Silas.
stand-up comedian?
Because I have no original ideas.
Okay, but for real questions now about like
Oh no, you
what
cut
you do
out.
for a profession. Did we cut out again? Did we?
He's muted.
Wait.
You're
He's
back.
unmuted.
You're back.
No,
Okay,
no,
we're
no.
back.
We didn't do
We're
it.
back.
Okay,
We didn't
so
do
sorry.
it. I think I have Bluetooth headphones.
You said
screwing
no, but
things
for
up.
real, and then you're gone.
Okay, so for real questions, like actual about your jobs and filmmaking
Yeah.
and weddings and all that stuff, Jeremy Bay asked, how much do you direct a couple during like prep time and portrait time and that kind of stuff? Or you just kind of like
Yeah,
go
I got
be
this one.
free?
0%. We only like if we move them.
2%.
If I'm talking, no, I'm just kidding. If they're in bad light or whatever, we'll move them. Like that's pretty much all we do in terms of prep. And then in the photo shoot time, like we're just kind of getting in between moments. We don't really have like time that we're gonna spend directing you around and getting moving shots. So
Partly because we work with so many amazing photographers, and we know that is like their precious time.
Yeah.
We don't want to step on their toes. So often we'll talk with them beforehand if we haven't already worked with them,
Yeah.
and say, hey, is it cool with you if we're, shooting these in between moments? And that really helps us.
but yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, no actual directing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
John, do you have these questions pulled up?
Yeah, I do, but on the directing side of things, so like portrait sessions happening, you're like kind of grabbing in between moments when the photographer, like if the photographer, I don't know if you work with people, sometimes I'm working with photographers that are like super posed, like they just want to pose only. What kind of cues or what are you giving them? Like, hey, go that way, come back this way. Hey, snuggle. Like, what kinds of things are you doing to get some of that kind of footage?
The odd time, definitely, if like by the end of a portrait session, I'm like, you know what, I could use a few more shots. If the bride and groom are already kind of half doing something, I'll just kind of say, hey, can you keep walking this way? Just talk. I'm just gonna shoot around you guys.
More
for a few
natural.
minutes. But I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but pretty rare because there's been times where we haven't used any portrait footage for some of our films. So so it's not like this pivotal time for us, but on the rare occasion, and sometimes we'll have a bride and groom be like, hey, what should we do right now? And rather than just not answer them, we'll tell them to do something, but pretty
Gotcha.
rare.
Okay. So the next question, a lot of your films are out in nature. They're like national parks and mountains and waterfalls and gorgeousness, of course. Larry Marshall says, wow, seems like a lot of national park locations. My question is, do y'all end up shooting everything in one day?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Good question.
Yeah, first of all, it's not all national parks. It's just BC. Guys, so beautiful here. Everyone should get married here. Canadian dollar, so cheap.
Here we go
It's true.
again.
We have,
If I get married in Canada, does it count in the United States?
I think so. Yeah. it should.
Yeah.
No.
We're not speaking upon those terms. We don't know. We don't know the answers. No.
No, and I do find here, like, you can have a wedding that's, like, in a church and still see waters, mountain, field,
Yeah.
church, all in one day. Like, everything's really close together. So I don't think we've ever done a second day shoot.
Very rare. Only if I really want to, and like, oh, you know what, I might free up some time.
Or,
If
like,
you-
we flew somewhere.
Yeah, or there's all these Gulf Islands next to us. We take a ferry. It's a whole weekend wedding. We're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go out the evening before, get some scenics. But
And then the weather changes and you can't use them anyways.
yeah,
Doesn't
that's
matter.
true. But so it's pretty rare. I'd say 90% of the time where everything's just from the wedding day.
Awesome.
Okay. Little kind of back to the family dynamic, husband and wife. So you had your son Woodrow, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, Woodrow.
Okay. How old is he?
He's a year and a half. Almost.
Okay. So how is having him like changed your business? I know that's probably a loaded question. But,
No.
No,
You know.
it's just changed a lot.
It's
Yeah.
kind of changed. I found it easier to shoot 8.5 months pregnant than to like do summer with a baby. No, it's fine. Childcare is the worst thing in the world. It's like the worst part of my whole life.
Trying to find it, yeah.
But like as far as him like being around,
No, he's a great kid. It's just what it does to your schedule.
Yeah.
You know, all of a sudden, when you come home at midnight after a wedding and you got to be up at 6:45 because your kid's going to be up, that changes.
yeah, I'm a
things.
lot less like fun at the end of a wedding. I'm like, okay, guys, like we have to go. It's an hour drive. Like I don't want to stay anymore. I love you, bye. But yeah, other than that, I don't know, because I parent. I'm
Whoa.
raising this child by myself. No, and Mac has to work 9 to 5. Like for editing, we kind of structure it that way.
Yeah.
And so that's a little tricky, just because like you're at home too. So like Woody's banging on the door. We're working on that.
It's
You're
just
not gonna
finding the
work forever.
balance. I think we've done a pretty good job, and luckily we have a really good kid. But it's definitely something that we weren't.
Y'all know about
Yeah, you
this.
guys are dads as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's tricky.
Well, I mean, I work from home too, and so you know, when our son, well, he'll be 4 in June, so you know they're here all day. You know, our daughter's in kindergarten. I know John like has an office, so he can like leave for a bit.
I
so it's a
didn't
little different for him.
whenever Anna was a newborn, and I just like it actually was some of the best time in my life. I mean, yes, you don't get 8 hours in a row of work done ever, but it's like that's why in my mind why we do what we do, because it was like I could take a 30-minute break. It's just being able like and be able to play and have fun with the kiddos, whatever. But like being able to, for me, and I think a lot of us are this way, where it's like to stay focused and then break that focus and then get back into that same focus takes a really long time. So I had to find a balance, like you're saying, just to like, okay, I'm editing and focus on this audio, and then now I'm changing a diaper and running around, like a helicopter, and then I'm coming back, and it's like, okay, yeah, audio. Okay, I can do that, And so, but it goes.
That's a good point.
It goes quickly, and then all of a sudden they're 4 or 5 or 6, and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have spent more time, whatever. So, enjoy the
Totally.
time. Enjoy the time.
That's nice to know.
we have been. It's been really fun. The only trouble it's been is like with destination weddings. We really have enjoyed doing those, but now with the kid, it makes us think twice. Like we have an Iceland wedding coming up. Originally we were gonna bring him, and we're like, no.
And then we flew with him once, and we're like, haha, never again. He's staying here.
That's the only the boat, whatever.
Yeah,
We'll figure it out.
It'll come.
Yeah.
One of the questions that was asked, it basically just says, how do you get most of the inquiries for these couples? And you're talking about Iceland as well. How are you guys finding the best? Like, where are people finding you? Is it Instagram, your marketing? And how are you getting these destination weddings?
I think a lot of it is Instagram, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of our inquiries come from other photographers that we work with all the time, and then because they still tend to get clients before video does, I would say generally speaking.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so they'll be like, oh, do you recommend anyone? They're like, yeah, hello tomorrow. And so then they.
Yeah, thankfully
great.
that they've been a great source of inquiries for us or referrals.
Yeah.
Also, Instagram. As far as destination weddings go, some just online with like this Iceland one that we have coming up came from the last Iceland wedding we did, and they just found it on YouTube. So I guess
Nice.
just randomly.
The internet.
The
guys.
internet and Instagram.
Internet.
But locally photographers
Yeah.
Very cool.
for the most part.
Cool. Lance Bullock asked a question. He's basically saying, do you find that couples are maybe drawn more to you guys because you're a husband and wife versus a company that might have a main shooter, but then they kind of outsource the seconds and stuff?
That's a good question.
I feel like when we meet them, they're really happy that way because they're like, oh, okay, like you're going to be with me, like the bride, and you'll be with the groom. And so they kind of already know what they can expect on the day. But I don't know.
It might be a bonus for some couples. Like when they find that out, they're like, oh, okay, cool. That's great. But I don't think many couples are seeking out couple videographers. So maybe, yeah.
John, I guarantee you John's laughing right now because he heard your Canadian accent come out just
did
a
I
little
say
bit.
out?
No,
What word?
I was laughing because Erin made fun of Mac.
Couplers.
She's making me giggle over here. I can't help myself.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, no, it was out. That's what I heard.
I need to
As
ask.
I said
Sorry.
it, as I said it, I was like, that's
As you said
If
it.
you say the word, BAG, what is that word?
Big?
What?
bag. Aaron, okay, between us two, Aaron's got the weirder way. You said bag. Like you're
You
from
said
Minnesota.
BEG, which is
Yeah,
bag.
totally.
Oh, no.
She says milk instead of milk.
Okay.
My wife, who is from Western Oklahoma, says milk.
Oh, we could
It's
be
weird.
friends based on that. See?
Usually this is like an Eastern Canada argument, but we do have some ones. Like a boot or a boot.
That's not a thing.
That's Eastern Canada for sure. I know I kind of said it, but that was the slip of the throat, the tongue.
You only said it because people know you're from Canada and you wanted to conform to stereotypes.
Totally, and we live in igloos and the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. We never get snow here, though, so not really.
Oh, man. Yeah, John, this has been like a super fun podcast.
It has, and I
super
think
fun.
that people that listen to this are going to say, "Oh my goodness, these people are a lot of fun," and it's the same exact thing that I feel like brides and why you guys continue to have success is because you're just yourself. You don't take yourself too seriously. You're doing your best to serve the couples, obviously, and give them incredible stuff. But like, it all comes down to like people are probably hiring you because the work is incredible and they think you're a ton of fun. Like, I mean, that's why I would hire you. It's like you immediately connect. And so I think just this podcast, for me, I really wanted to have you guys on because I wanted, a crew of people that are just fun to be around. And if other videographers see it and see that like, oh, wow, like we can just be ourselves, I think it's going to do them the best it's going to do the best for their business.
Yeah, we agree. That's nice of you to say, and we
you.
highly recommend it to anyone on the fence. It's a good call.
Recommend what?
Putting yourself out there.
Oh, okay, yeah. So he said a lot of things that I don't know what you were referring to.
He recommends all the things.
Yeah. So, we are winding down in time recording here. So why don't you just share really quick, if people don't know, have never watched your work, have never seen any of your stuff, where can they find you so that they can watch some stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Probably the best spot is our website, hellotomorrow.ca. Hello Tomorrow is just one word. Or on Instagram, we are HelloTMRW. Still trying to get Hello Tomorrow. That guy won't write me back.
And .com, those jerks.
Yeah. And then YouTube, if you search Hello Tomorrow Films, we're on there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you are watching this on YouTube, you should do that. It's fun. You're going to get some behind the scenes stuff that the podcast listeners probably didn't hear. Yeah, we'll edit that out. Again, we'll mention our Facebook group. We are on Facebook. We have a group. We have lots of chats. We have fun in there. So John and I are going to do live stuff. And
Land that plane.
Dude, it's so hard. It's so hard. Oh,
so
John
hard.
is laughing because he knows it too, man.
It's harder than it
pull it
looks.
off.
Anyway.
It's harder than it looks. That's what she said.
It so is. Anyway, join our Facebook group. Search that, How to Film Weddings on Facebook. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or wherever it is that you're listening to this podcast, give us a review, rate us. Then other people who are interested in listening to this can find us whenever you give that kind of stuff. Share this video with someone that you know will find it helpful. And until next time, we'll see ya.
See ya.
Nailed it. You guys.
got the
Oh,
giggles.
John, did I
just
say
got-
something?
No, you did great. But we're all just sitting here waiting on you. I was just thinking, man, we should do these exit ramps when the guests are not on the show, so I don't have to have them sit there and listen to us promote ourselves.
I like it. Guys, I'm going to join Facebook again. I mean,
For
like,
this reason?
be on Facebook. I have a good account,
Gotta
but
start
yeah,
using
like I might post something.